Henri Cartier-Bresson is one of the most influential photographers of all time. And he has a very famous quote that you've probably heard. Your first 10,000 photos are your worst. It's a great quote and one I absolutely agree with, because at the end of the day, to get better at photography, you need to do photography. But in today's video, I want to talk about the easiest, most counterintuitive way to improve your composition, avoid burnout, and become a much better photographer. It's so simple, you'll wonder why you didn't start earlier. So, what's the secret? Take less photos. Huh? Okay, let me explain. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to see more great photography content. So I see a lot of new photographers going out and spraying and praying. That is, taking hundreds of photos of the exact same scene, hoping that at least one frame will be good. Oh, I like this scene. Let me take a photo of it. I think I got it. That's fine if you're shooting a bird mid-flight or a racing car, but if you're photographing stationary subjects, you really don't need that many photos to get the shot. Now, I don't blame them. I mean, modern cameras have crazy fast burst rates, memory cards are huge and very, very cheap, and it's so easy to shoot more and think less. But that mindset is exactly what holds you back from getting good compositions, and it's a big reason why so many beginners burn out. See, when you take many photos, you don't have time to think, and because you shot so many frames, it becomes harder to study what worked and what didn't. Then you've suddenly got a mountain of raw files to sort through, and trust me, when you've got thousands of images to edit, it gets exhausting really quickly. Now, the reason why shooting less works is simple. Slowing down forces you to think. Now, you start evaluating the light, the subject, the background, your focal length, and your decisions are clearer because you're not preoccupied with firing off as many shots as possible. So when I first started photography all the way back in 2014, I shot a lot of film. And film gives you, at most, 36 shots per roll. And if you shoot medium format, it can be about 10 shots per roll on a 6x7 camera. So with the cost of buying and developing film, each frame is a tangible expense. So you have to think before shooting. And that has taught me so much about intention and composition. And even though I don't shoot film anymore, due to just how expensive it has gotten now, I have kept that same mentality with my digital photography. And I remember back in the day, I used to shoot events with photographers who would take 2,000 to 3,000 photos, and I would take maybe 500. And at the end, we'd both have around 350 to 400 keepers. Shooting less makes your composition stronger. You start seeing the shot before you even raise the camera. You begin understanding things like leading lines, symmetry, layering, and foregrounds, and you become way more aware of distractions in the frame. You know, say for example, like a rubbish bin or someone's awkward pose or a messy background, random objects you don't want. And instead of relying on just random angles, you'll start moving with intention, changing your position, your height, your distance, your focal length. All of these things lead you to create images that appear more purposeful, have better storytelling, and in general, I just feel like you become an overall much better photographer. And if you don't believe me, just give it a go and try for yourself. Now let's talk about a few tips on how you can actually shoot fewer photos. Number one is to set yourself a frame limit. So you don't need to buy a film camera, just limit yourself to 50 or 100 photos in a single photo session. So it can be hard to do that, but think before every shot. Be like, do I really need to take this photo? Or is this like, am I just doing this for the sake of doing it? Really put a lot of effort and consideration into every photo that you take. Number two is to slow your finger down. So I know that a lot of modern cameras have crazy high burst rates, 30 frames per second sometimes. I've genuinely never used them. at all. I just don't need it. You know, I don't use high-speed bursts on any of my cameras, and I would really advise, if you're new to photography, to just keep things in single shot mode. You don't need to shoot that many photos at once. But number 3 is to pre-frame your images. So when you're looking at a scene, look around first. See what stands out. Is there any interesting shapes, any interesting compositions that you're noticing straight away before you even lifted the camera up to your eye? And speaking of lifting the camera up to your eye, if your camera has an EVF or a viewfinder, if you're using an old DSLR, shoot through it. It really helps to remove distractions, and in my opinion, helps quite a lot with framing. Once you start slowing down, you'll notice so many benefits. Things like you'll edit much faster because you're not swamped with thousands of photos that you need to go through. You'll learn a lot quicker, and your portfolio will improve. And you will begin developing a signature style because now you're making conscious choices about your photography. Now, obviously, there are times when you need burst rates. I'm not saying that everyone needs to just start taking less photos and they'll immediately become a better photographer. In my lifetime of shooting, I've probably honestly taken between 250 to 350,000 photos in over a decade, which is a lot of photos, definitely. But that's less than some sports photographers shoot in a single year. But I don't shoot sports. And if you do, again, this advice is not meant for those situations, as wildlife and sports photography sometimes requires purposeful bursts. But even then, there is a big difference between a purposeful burst and fear-driven overshooting. And honestly, a lot of really good sports photographers don't just sort of aim the camera and pray for the best. Say, for example, if they're watching a game of football, they will be, tracking a player down until he hits the goal and then kind of waiting until that moment hits. I know for me, when I shoot a lot of club photography, I'm not just sort of taking photos at any random time. For me, when I shoot clubs, one of the big sort of compliments that I used to always get was that I tend to always capture the moment like as it hit. And again, I'm not spraying and praying. I'm not taking thousands of shots. I'm waiting until, if the DJ's playing a song where it starts to get to a real exciting part and you can kind of tell the crowd is starting to get pretty excited. Wait for that. Observe, slow down, look at that stuff. Don't just like, okay, cool, I see a DJ, I see people, I'm just gonna start taking photos. Take your time, observe your surroundings, and take less photos. Trust me, it'll make you a better photographer. So, what do you guys think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week and have a great day.